Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rolldown, the TFT esports podcast, where we talk about everything from the grassroots to the pro scene, from the couch to the crown. My name is CLE, and joined once again, as always, by Gangly, who is... do you still have a ton of snow at your house, or are you, out?
Yeah, I've got more snow than I'll ever need. There's probably still like 2 feet of snow just at any given point around my house right now. I still have not finished shoveling my entire driveway.
You know, that's so relatable. Yeah, it's pretty similar here. But I know somebody who doesn't have snow because they definitely live on the West Coast, but are also just, got a lot of sunshine because they are the newest America's member heading to the Tactician's crown. Darth Nub, welcome to the show.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Wait, before we move on, can we get official confirmation? Is it Darth Nub or Darth Noob? What is the official pronunciation of your tag?
Okay, honestly, the official pronunciation probably has to be Darth Nub. I don't really want to change. I know it's kind of confusing to have my in-game name as Darth Nub and my socials as Darth Noob.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't really want to bother changing everything.
Do you remember that there was a period of time maybe 2 or 3 years ago, this is probably set 7, set 8, where I had no idea. I thought Darth Nub and Darth Noob were 2 different people, and I would always talk about it in my Discord, and this Darth Noob guy would show up and just add a shrugging emote. I don't know, man. Who knows? Maybe it's 2 people.
Wait, so what do you want us to call you? Which one is correct?
Everyone just calls him Darth.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's supposed to just be Darth Nub.
Okay.
Since that's gonna be my in-game name and it's gonna be the name here, so I feel like that's the one that just makes more sense.
Cool. Sounds good. We'll roll with it. Also joining us on the show is the fastest rising stock of probably all of the underdogs in the TPC of the last 2 sets. Chunington, so excited to have you on the show and for people to hear a little bit more of your story.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Your name, we know how to pronounce that one. We got it. We got it.
That was an easy one.
Yeah, we take the gimmies sometimes. Anyway, let's jump into it because we got a lot to cover with 2 cups. But first, we want to talk a little bit about something I was going to be really excited to announce, and I am really excited to announce it. But I'm working with Citadel on this double up tournament that's going to be on Valentine's Day, and I was going to be like, you guys should sign up. You should do all these things. But turns out the TFT community is really excited about double up, and I was complaining to Gangly last night, and Gangly, how many signups did I tell you we had last night?
It was 230 or something, which that was at the end of the night. The beginning of the night was 70, right? Which was a couple hours after sign up started.
And I haven't checked in about 30 minutes, but last time I checked, we were at 515 signups.
That's crazy.
Actually, oh wait, did we talk about this, Jack? That I got a random DM from someone I had gone to a Riftbound local with just in New Jersey. He had played a couple random games of TFT, but mainly was a Riftbound guy. And he DM'd me out of the blue yesterday saying, hey, I heard about a double up tournament in TFT. Do you want to play? Having no idea that I am, associated with Jack and all that. So yeah, it looks like double update is making waves across the world.
It sure
is. At
is.
least in New Jersey.
It's going to be really, really fun. We've got a lot of fun things cooking. We also have, because of the amount of interest, we have a secondary thing cooking. So if you want to know about that secondary thing that is open to anyone, make sure you join the Discord, and you'll find out more there. Chunington is signed up to play in this, but I don't know if he knows he has a schedule conflict with the EMEA Cup, but if he gets day 1, he can go win this instead.
Yeah, that was the plan. If I get day 1, I'll just play this.
Good secondary prize. Good secondary prize. Well, the main aspect of the podcast today is the review of the Bildgewater Cups, and that is plural because we had the what Riot's calling the Home Cups, the America's Home Cup and the EMEA Home Cup. It's not rivalry week like I tried to declare on our last podcast. I kind of like it a little bit better. Anyway, It's a fun time. But we had 3 of them happen across the globe. APAC and CN mixed together, and then EMEA and the Americas mixed together. And it created a very interesting setup, specifically because of these 2 different tournaments that happened. And Gangly, give us a little flyby of how this kind of happened last week.
Yeah, if you want like a more in-depth version, we did go over it quite a bit in our last episode, but the main story of this was that because the players are the ones that are drafting the players within each tournament themselves, sometimes things get a little haywire, right? And what we saw was in the EMEA Cup, it was significantly, and I mean that with all the power that word could muster, significantly more stacked in terms of name recognition and history in the game and international prowess. I mean, it was like top to bottom, the stars of one region. And then the Americas Cup, and I feel like it's hard to say all this stuff about the EMEA's Cup without it sounding like a knock on the players that were in the Americas Cup, but it was largely the unproven talent of both regions, and then Wasian and Dish Soap kind of rounding out the top.
Yeah, I mean, it was just insane to look at, especially after it first came out. We showed this tweet last week, but the amount of pro points on one tournament versus the other, the amount of trips to the Tactician's crown on one versus the other, and just like the very suspicious drafting that the EMEA team had. And so both of you guys, we brought both these guys on because they were in different sides of these tournaments. So Darth was on the EMEA side and Chunington was on the Americas side. Darth, tell us about your thoughts immediately after seeing this come out and being like, all right, here we go.
I didn't really care. Like, I saw Wasian and Dish Soap on the other side, in the other tournament. So, like, in my mind, like, I saw some names like that I recognized in EMEA, and I saw some names I recognized in AMER. It didn't really bother me too much that I was here. Like, the main thing that bothered me was just having to wake up early for the EMEA tournament.
That's ironic because I feel like there's a lot of people. I'm going to speak for myself. I think Jack might feel the same way. I love watching the EMEA Cups. It is so much better for me. I can like wake up. It's in the middle of the day where my kids are taking a nap too. Like I watched way more of the EMEA Cup than I did the America's Cup. So I'm very and that's actually the main reason why I got to see the entirety of Top 8, which I almost never get to do. Like actually get to watch the events live. So it was very nice to be able to watch Darth play in the EMEA Cup. I love that time zone.
Yeah. It's really good for me too because I'm able to hop like on Frodo and co-stream easier because I don't have as many things like from starting at 10 a.m. on a Saturday. But obviously West Coast makes that a lot more difficult, especially because you have to check in too. So like, what is check-in time for you? 5 a.m. or something?
Yeah, 5 to 6 a.m. I always just woke up at exactly 6 a.m. to check in.
Don't miss it, dude. Don't miss it.
That's
and
wild.
Then, Chunington, you're on the other side, the Americas side of this bracket. What were your thoughts as you looked at either laughing at the other side or, looking at your bracket?
I actually my alarm didn't go off during the draft, so I missed the draft. And then when I woke up, I messaged Jehua about it, and then he was just calling me really lucky and stuff. And then I took a look at it for myself, and I had the initial impressions Wasian and Dish Soap on my side, but then I didn't none of the other big names. So I mean, I was I guess I was satisfied with the result, and then but I was still I needed to take advantage of the fact that if it is a week tournament, I have to perform.
And you did. Spoilers. We'll talk a lot about that, but it was a good weekend for both of you guys. So let's dive into these tournaments a little bit deeper. We'll start with the EMEA Cup because that came first in the day. And so let's take a look first at this is day one's scores. So we'll see kind of the breakdown of where's America and EMEA on this, and there's a pretty obvious trend on here, but also some of these stories that we want to talk about as well. First, I want to talk about Darth specifically in this tournament with it being mixed. Did you notice any regional playstyle differences between Americas and EMEA?
I mean, I definitely saw EMEA players doing unique things. right? Like they would often play lines that I hadn't considered, and they would often succeed with like these lines that I've never like seen. And also, I think they were like much more willing to play a lot of the Slayer lines, like Slayers with MF and the like. So yeah, there was definitely regional differences for sure.
Chunnington, did you notice a similar thing as well on your side?
I mean, yeah, I did see them playing unique lines, and I don't know if it was just like my lobbies or whatever, but it felt like they were also like trying to go for 3-star 4 costs more often.
Yeah, that was definitely true. Like I know like the scrims, those were just filled with 3-star 4 costs, like every single lobby. But in tournament, that's not really going to be the case.
On co-stream, I was talking with Dan, and we were taking bets on like how many there would be, and it was significantly higher than we thought going in. Still, with the 3-star 4 costs and that being an out for many of the wins we saw happen through this tournament.
I want to talk about some of the players that ended up making it into the top 8 here, because there's a couple things to stand out. I mean, the first of which of the America players that made it in top 8, I actually felt going into the final day, Darth was not really on my radar of the players that I thought were like, oh, the most interesting. Like the 3 that really stood out to me were Quinta, Michael, and Pocky, who all set long have been putting up the performances, right? I did all 3 of them make top 8 in the last cup? If they didn't make top 8, they all had really strong. Yeah, okay. So back-to-back top 8 performances. I think Pocky and Quinta, both of which are pretty surprising to a lot of people, right? Pocky Gum in our first edition of the power rankings was, I want to say, rated 24th or 25th, one of the lowest rated players in the field, and then made back-to-back top 8 finishes. Quinta is someone who I'm kind of eating my words now, because this is a player that last set I was pretty vocal about how in many tournament performances, Quintanilla is kind of bombing out after making it after advancing to any given stage of tournament. There are just these days where Quinta just bombs out and goes dead last on that given day. And now in this span of just a few months, I mean, Jack, you were saying Chunington has become like the rising stock of the underdogs. I with all due respect to Chunington, I would personally put Quintanilla as this player. Like, I think that this is a player where 3 months ago I was not talking about them at all. 2 months ago I was not talking about them positively, and now I'm standing here saying that this is the best performing player from Brazil that we've had in the last few months, and really needs to be on everyone's radar. And then Michael, again, just like a player that's come truly back to form and then has exceeded it since we saw him step back and not have the results he wanted in sets 13 and 14. So I thought it was really cool to see all 3 of these players. And obviously we're going to talk about Darth a lot, but I just, to me, it feels really beautiful to see these 3 players have back-to-back success, because I think they each have a really cool story behind them.
Do either of you guys have experiences or study with any of these players?
I study with quite a lot of the people in top 8. I study with Michael, Marcel, and then also Quintanilla and Kubiksan and Raiko.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wait, you study with Kubiksan and Raiko as well?
Yeah.
Wait, can you talk about that? Because I remember last set, I got to speak to Raiko very briefly when he wasn't competing at TechGround, but he was there, and I remember him saying that he didn't actually have a study group. So that, I'm assuming he was a pretty new addition to this group.
Yeah, I think he was added like towards the end of last cup.
So what has that been like studying with some of the EMEA players?
They have like different perspectives, and it's like good to hear their different insights on the game, and it's always good to hear like difference of opinions and like what everyone thinks about certain spots.
Is there anyone in that group that you feel stands out as like, oh, I don't know, they bring something really fresh to the table, or they have more off the walls ideas? Is like anyone in particular from that group that stands out to you?
Not really. Everyone has their like unique takes, and then strong opinions about the certain like compositions and stuff.
One of the things that I've noticed about the three EMEA players that made it to this top 8 specifically is Travis has gone on a pretty really solid run of the past 2 sets, winning a TPC last set and having multiple other good performances. Now be on the top of day 1 and 2 here in this mixed tournament. But Cubixon has made 4 out of 5 of the final lobbies for TPC now, which I saw him talking about this weekend. And this is a young guy that just continues to get better and better. So it's going to be about time before he shows up and starts to take a crown home for himself. Maybe if EMEA can ever do that. But I want to talk about some of the players that maybe disappointed or missed. Also in this tournament, we can also go back to this rank of 32 of players that we look at. We're like, this result for them doesn't quite make sense. And I think definitely want to start with a few of our EMEA players, specifically Gobo and Bensak. Actually, a lot of the French players in this tournament just really not performing, not making the top 8. There was 0 French players in final lobbies for the TPC, which I don't know if that's ever happened.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. It was definitely surprising. I mean, also Revan, right? Coming off of his win in TPC 1 and then just completely bombing out, almost going milk mode in this cup. So, yeah, there was definitely, with all due respect, there were definitely some misses. I kind of want to talk a little bit about the players who were on the bubble who just narrowly missed out. I guess depending on the cut, too, because it's worth talking about Soju, who up to this point in time was on the run of making every final lobby and then narrowly misses out on that top. Well, he missed it on that top 12 cut, right? Because then there was the one final game. Yeah. Is that what it was?
Correct.
Yeah. The 2 final games. Yeah. So Soju missing out. And then I also want to shout out Ripple, who was a player who obviously had a really strong run at the Paris Open, making it all the way to the top 8 and then kind of bombed out in the first cup. But I believed, let the record show, I believed that Ripple and Darth would come back, despite everything Jack said on the podcast last time against these 2 players. I knew that they would, Jack, and it must be killing you to see Darth Nub on this podcast with us right now. It must be eating you up inside because you knew that you hated him, and I believed in him.
Just don't check the tapes from last season of the podcast where I was the biggest Darth Nub fan and this Gangly guy. Anyway, starts throwing stats around.
Gangly has always believed in me.
That's right. Always.
Always. Another thing to talk about just before we get to the final lobby and what happened there. Double, also in this tournament, missed the cut of 16 here. So we no longer have any player that's made every single TPC final. It ended in this tournament and on day 2. So just a notable thing to call out because we've talked about specifically those 2 characters a ton. And in this tournament, neither of them were able to make it. But let's talk about this final lobby and a little bit of spoilers. We see on here that Darth Nub was able to win and steal the slot from EMEA and take home the win. But this was a very interesting tournament, and I know Gangly, you watched it very intently. So why don't you kind of set the scene for what this looked like?
Oh man, okay, hold on. I don't know if I'm prepared to set the entire stage of the day. What I will say, okay, so what I will say, I think it's really most important to talk about that game 6. Going into that, or wait, was it game? Yeah, game 5 and 6. The story that everyone was kind of following was Travis getting into check game 5 with the win, and then in game 6, he's now in a position where he's like playing from ahead, and everyone is watching him play because he's playing build from ahead in a position to really be able to take this, maybe look for the 3-star forecast or be able to go 9. To me, it actually felt like for most of that game 6, Travis was kind of the main character. At least that was the co-stream's kind of intent. I will say real quick before we go too far, and I'm not saying this with any confidence that Travis didn't know what he was doing or that it was necessarily the wrong play. I found it a bit surprising that the way Travis played that last game, there were only 2 players left in the lobby who could not win and end the tournament. It was Raiko and Pakigam, both of which were playing Yunara. And I found it very surprising that Travis, who was playing around a Bildgewater spat, decided to play around a 2-star Bildgewater Yunara while losing the entirety of stage 4, griefing Paki and Raiko so that they cannot hit. They have no chance of winning. And he's losing every round anyway. And anyway, we kind of see as this happens that like everyone starts now looking to Darth, who's been playing Ishtal. And if I remember correctly, was this the game where you had the play Ishtal for 13 rounds, right? That was this? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I got on 2-3, I put Ishtal in, and I got like play Ishtal for 13 rounds.
Okay. So there is a very important inflection point in this game where, like I said, for a long time, Travis was kind of the star. Everyone was looking to see if he was going to be able to close it out. And towards the end of stage 4, he's starting to taper off, and people are kind of, it feels like the protagonist is up in the air. Where are we looking? What are we latching onto? And I think, Jack, you actually have a screenshot of what might have been the most pivotal point in time in this game. And that is at 4-7, Darth Nub, we switch to his POV, and we see that he gets the 13-round cash out from Ishtal, or he completes the quest, gets to 500. He can cash out. He'll have his Brock either way, but he has the opportunity now at, what is this, 13 HP to try and win out. And Darth, you don't take the cash out. You instead, I believe you take Nico survives combat for 15 seconds is the next one you take. Can you walk us through this point in time? Because to me, I feel like this was the most important part of the entire tournament.
Yeah, so I guess like going into stage 4, like my plan for this game is to go into 5-1 with 160 gold, and then I'm going to take either a level or a role quest to get some more what Ishtal
Shards.
Sun shards, they're
Sun
called.
shards.
Sun shard.
Yeah, and I want to make it to 625 because in my head, like it's not like this is my game to throw. It's either I'm winning this game, or a 3-star forecast was winning this game, or Travis is like making it to 10 Bilgewater. And so to me, like I was never going to cash out 500. Like it didn't even cross my mind. I always felt like if I want to secure this win, I need to just be able to build a board on this level 9 roll down and get to 625.
And you already unlocked Brock, so you got a little bit of power to stabilize there. But what are you expecting? Is like, hey, this board that's on screen is obviously not going to win a fight in stage 5, but you're going to get Brock, and you're going to make obviously decisions to upgrade your board. You're playing around 1 life. What does that look like this next turn?
Like I didn't see it as 1 life because I was like, okay, I have 15 HP after I put in 5 Ishtal. Surely that's going to be 2 lives. And to be honest, that's not actually surely. Because yeah, I could low roll the roll down and fight someone very strong. For instance, like Kubikson had a really strong Slayer board that honestly could have ended my tournament on 5-1. But yeah, I just felt like this is what I had to do to win the game. Like I just have to trust that I can execute the roll down properly and build a solid board, like with like 70 gold on level 9.
Now the co-stream in this moment was everyone is saying that you're cashing out here, right? Everyone is shocked when you take Nico survives for 15 seconds. Everyone's like, oh, he's trolling. He thought he can get it on PvE, like he doesn't know. But I actually want to throw to Chunington for this. Chunington, I don't know if you saw this live, but I'm curious to hear your perspective on this moment, how you think you would have played it yourself.
I mean, I was watching it live, and like I think like in my eyes, like only Travis had like the spot to like win out this game if he got to 10 bilge. But like I think at the end of stage 4, it didn't really seem like he was anywhere close to that. So like, but I think it is very hard to see like all that like without the outside perspective of the game, like where I can just see all the 8 players like at a time. So like, but like in my opinion, I think the 500 cash would have been enough for this specific lobby. But I do think it's very difficult to see that in the lens of like playing it in real time.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like there's so many ways this game could have gone. Like one way is, I do my play and then I lose on 5-1, I die, and it just looks like I was trolling. There's another world where I cash out the 500 and then Quint hits his Lysandra 3 and then I die. I'm like, wow, if I had triple item Radiant Brock here, I would have won the game. Right. And yeah, there's another world where I cash out the 625, I get one of the better cash outs, and I'm able to outcap a 3-star forecast. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad like what happened, but it's difficult to really like, truly assess like what the correct decision is in these spots.
How much do you think I mean, and both of you have a good amount of checkmate experience at this point, but how much checkmate experience do you have, Darth? And when did that play into this?
This is my fourth checkmate lobby. Like I had 2 in set 15 and I had 1 at Paris. So in my previous checkmate experiences, I feel like I've never really been in a position to throw the game. Like I just did whatever I could to win the game, and it just wasn't really enough, and like that's fine. And so this was definitely the first time where I was probably in a position to win the game, and if I mis-executed, it would have felt horrendous. But I don't know. It's something that like I was always hoping that I'd like be properly prepared for, and I suppose I was.
Just because we didn't actually kind of narrate through the end of the game, can you just remind us all how you actually got to your final cash out, what they ended up being, and then kind of where you landed with your final board?
Yeah. So right now we're at 500. We get Nico survives player combat for 15 seconds. I go up to 540. Then I get some like Skarner receives like gets.
Oh yeah, blocks damage or something.
No, not yet. And then that gets me up to 590. And then I get Skarner blocks 3. Oh, an Ishtal champion blocks a certain amount of damage. That gets me up to 620. And then finally, I field Ishtal for. I field a 2-star Skarner on my board to get me to the 625 mark. And at that point, like I don't get a very good cash out. I get the double Fawn and the Radiant Ginsu, which I can't really use. So yeah, like at that point, if somebody were to hit a 3-star forecast, I would just lose the game. And so Kubikson was holding 2 of Quint's Lysandras, and so he dies, and now Quintanilla is free to basically roll for his units. And at that point, it's just like, okay, like if he hits, I lose. If he doesn't, I win the game.
And he doesn't, and so you win the game.
Yeah, and you win. And if you're not familiar with the TPC in these tournaments, that means that Darth locks in his spot at the Tactician's crown this set, which is an incredible achievement. And not the first time that you've done this either. And so back on that stage, but you also have not won a major tournament. You had qualified through regional finals, but now qualifying with a tournament win specifically in checkmate. How is that building confidence? How does it feel to win a tournament?
It feels so incredible. Like the last time I made it to Worlds was in set 13, and I basically made it by not being dead last in the final lobby. So like there, I just felt like relief. It's like nice, I didn't go 8th. But this time, I won the last game of the tournament. I got the most points, and so it just feels so incredible to like win and it's like you always know that, like I always knew that I could potentially win, like given like if the RNG is on my side, and it just I couldn't believe like it actually happened.
Well, let's hop over to the other side because obviously we're super excited to have you at the Tactician's Crown, but there is a whole nother tournament that also happened and was also a similar storyline because it again is mixed America and EMEA, but this one was even more lopsided. And before we dive into this, I want to talk about some of the complaints that were kind of hedged against this format. Obviously, with it being Americas versus EMEA, there's different time zones. We're across an ocean. And so there is a lot of different things at play, like ping, like time zones, and all these different things. And this was the later tournament in the day for EMEA, playing pretty late into the night, where the EMEA tournament was played early in the morning for specifically you, Darth, and the other West Coast people. What do you guys think? And we'll start with Chunington here about those kind of complaints and concerns around these tournaments.
I mean, I think they're valid. Like some of these like EMEA players like have work and stuff, and then they have to like stay up very late because of this tournament. Like it's not ideal for them, and then like the ping is obviously like not ideal and like could be annoying at times.
Yeah, I think it's extremely valid. There was this like one game where I was playing against Kubikson Slayers, and every fight I would just drop my Rift Herald right in front of his Belveth, and like there's nothing he could really do about it because he had a 100 ping difference to move 3 units while I only had to move 1. And so if I also had a 150 ping, that would have basically been a guessing game for me. But like I have the 100 ping advantage. Like there's no way I can lose that.
I'm sure people have talked about this before, but is there some technology that Riot has ever introduced that like could equalize, like artificially inflate the minimum ping, right? Like if everybody was playing on 100 ping minimum, would that, I mean, obviously it does make it, I mean, it makes it more fair, but it does kind of just artificially make it a worse experience for a lot of the players in the tournament, which is not like a great solve. But I imagine that in general, that would be like at least a reasonable band-aid solution for some of these cross-continental events.
Yeah, I feel like they've done that in League of Legends before with some of their tournaments. So I could definitely see that as a solution.
Yeah, Chunington, do you have any other ideas about how to solve this? Is it just don't do these things, or is it maybe figure out another way to make it happen?
I mean, I'm not sure about like the ping issue, but like for like at least like the starting time, they've suggested like the break usually for like the 2 cups is like 2 hours, so like maybe like push it back 1 more hour to like let it start earlier, because like it is starting very late, like 10 p.m. for most like players, and they have to stay up until like 2 a.m. So I feel like that the time is like a really big deal for these players.
It's interesting because we maybe even see it play out here, and I'm not making excuses for EMEA, but we see there being a big difference, specifically towards the bottom of this. Of hey, there's a lot of EMEA players that have struggled that don't usually, like this is last set. I mean, it was still the same time problems, but it was basically dead even between the two regions, and this one was a lot more lopsided, and we'll get into the stats a little bit of that later. But how much do you guys think that actually has an impact on scores, rather than just like, oh no, like I'm really tired and this ping's annoying? Like, do you think it actually loses placements?
I think the time zone is annoying, but it doesn't actually lose placements. Like I think at least like most of the players are going to have kind of degenerate sleep schedules. That's like the ping definitely matters. It's going to lose you placements here and there.
Yeah, I agree. I think the ping is a pretty sizable disadvantage. Like I'm pretty sure like in the final lobby, like Voman Death had a mess at 3, and I saw him like swapping, and then he couldn't swap his best of 3 in time, and then he just lost to my normal board because he's just positioned terribly. So the ping is for sure a serious issue, but I also think the time is also bad because Coinit, like one of the people in my study group, said he like couldn't fix his like sleep schedule around it because he only found out that he was going to be in the America's Cup for like a week, so it wasn't a sizable amount of time for him to like fix his to fix his sleep schedule around the format.
I also think, Jack, it's probably not a coincidence that last set is the first set that America's ever has to travel to EMEA to play in the Tactician's Crown, and it was the worst performance that North America certainly has ever had at an international event. So, like, I also don't want to make excuses for EMEA, but it seems like pretty valid concerns. That said, this was the exact same format and time zone and time slot and ping that we had last set, right? And that's the one you were saying, Jack, is like the scores were dead even. It was like 4.51 to 4.49, if I remember correctly, last set. So I think that these are very, very valid concerns, but I think to some degree, like we've seen in the past that it has not been as wide of a divide as it was this time. And it very well could have just been that it's maybe America's players played better. Maybe it was variance just going in the side of the Americas. And now we're left with a result that is causing us to ask these questions of like whether or not it's fair play all around. I think to some degree, it might just be okay to say that it's either variance or that some of the players played better. And I personally feel when you're unsure whether to blame variance or player agency, because TFT is a wild game with a lot of variance, it's just better to go to the side of player agency as a default and then kind of accept that variance does play into it afterwards. So, yeah.
All right, I'll say the thing. We didn't hear the complaints last set when it was dead even, but when EMEA did worse, there's a lot of valid concerns raised. Just saying.
Yes.
I'll say it. Anyway, let's talk about this tournament, the America's Home Cup. And this one is the one with a little bit less of the big names, but has Dishsoap, Wajan Iverson as probably the front runners for this tournament. And I want to ask you guys just straight up here, as we see kind of the top 8 laid out, how sure going into this tournament would you have locked Dishsoap and Wajan into this top 8? Or is it just like they're actually just a tier above the rest? Or is this just like what is this like playing against them?
I mean, like, to me, like when I looked at the list, like obviously there's like variance involved in the game, but like I thought they were like pretty solid, like top 8 in my mind.
You never know for sure. Like, for instance, Dishsoap went 19th in the last tournament. So, like, I definitely wouldn't have considered them a lock for the top 8, since you really don't know what form they're going to be in, if they truly are going to just dominate the field like you expect them to.
I was just going to say, Jack, that I can already see Asa writing an angry DM about how you don't understand variance if you're saying that Wajan and Dishsoap are locked into top 8 in this field.
I mean, it was just the least surprising thing to see them in the top 8 and performing well. I mean, the Dishsoap specifically, after coming off a bad performance, this is a very motivated dude. From everything I hear about him, even after his performance this weekend, where he had a great finish, but not the top 1 finish, is like angry and just wants to continue to get better. So I was not surprised to see him. I think many people were counting out Wajan because, you know, he's already made it, right? Take it some time off, enjoy it a little bit, but he locked right back in and got up there. And I know, Darth, you study with him. Is this something you expect from him?
Yeah, he likes winning. So
we'll put that on a quote. That's a good quote. Yeah, Wajan, he likes winning. That's a good one.
Can we talk about the man of the hour though? Chunington
let's do
in this call. Number 3 in the Swiss stage, and then obviously I know we're going to talk about finals, but Chunington, I guess it would have been set 14. Yeah, before set 14, I had never heard of your name before. Not once did it enter my ears. And I feel like I hear about you all the time now. Last set, everyone's talking about your ladder performances, and even though your pro points go throughout most of the TPC like didn't really align, come into regional finals, you play through play and you earn your spot back at the TPC, and suddenly it does feel like you're now in the conversation as like one of the best players in the Boom Kitchen study group. Can you just talk about what this tournament experience was like for you? Because obviously this was your best tournament to date, and I would love to hear kind of some insight from what it was like having it happen.
Yeah, I mean, like the last couple tournaments, I've been having like a good start to the day, and like I think that's helped a lot. Like throughout the whole tournament, like it's like good to know that like your spot is good, and then like you're still like you can capitalize on your lead, and like so like for this tournament, I mean I started with like a 6th, but I'm in 1-1 after that, and it's like good to know that like I can capitalize on the certain spots that I'm in, and that I can still perform under pressure. So
how would you describe yourself as a player? Kind of like give me like the sales pitch for Chunington. I'm a fan of TFT and I'm looking for someone who does X. You know, like why would someone be a fan of you?
I mean, like in the past, I used to play like riskier play styles, like loose streak lines. Like that's I like doing high execution, like roll downs and stuff, and like turns. But like I've kind of like adapted like my play style, like try to play like from tempo, and like but also like be able to capitalize on the loose streak spots as well. And I think it's like turning like well for me that I'm able to play like all my spots like the way I want to, and like how I feel like they should be played. And I like I do like playing for win out a lot. So
Yeah, I love to hear it because that's, those risky play styles are really fun to watch a lot of times. I think Darth is pretty similar to that, actually, of someone with higher caps, more first or eighth rate than, like to flip the game a little bit sometimes. It's great.
Yeah.
How does it feel to trying to be not only like do well in a tournament, but also be in the top 4 of this, obviously it's a TPC tournament, so it's pretty stacked. Top 4 of the top 32 through 10 games and be able to qualify to the finals early on?
I mean, it's always a relief to be out in 10. Like it's, everyone would rather play less games of variance than more. So it's very, feels very rewarding to come out and get out in the games that I played, and it like takes a chip off your shoulder that like you don't have to play like 2 more games, or like you don't have to be stressed out about your spot.
Yeah, like no matter how good you are or how good you think you are, you can always go 8-8.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's always a relief.
Like you kind of came onto the scene, Chunington, in a transition period, right? Of like TPC being introduced. No one was super familiar with a lot of the people, to be honest, that were in that Boom Kitchen study group. Over the last 2 sets, I'm curious to know if there's any level of like, what's the right word? Not like starstruck. That's not quite the word I'm looking for, but like you're
imposter syndrome?
Kind of out of, I don't know. I don't even know if it's like that strong, but yeah, maybe. Like
fair.
I'm curious to just know, like a year ago, no one was using your name in the conversation with Wajan Iverson and Dishsoap and Setsuko and Cambuli and these players who are like kind of, at the tips of the tongues of every TFT fan. And now suddenly you are. I think I'm just kind of curious what that part of it has been like. That now you're kind of like, yes, you're like a niche micro influencer in this very specific space, but like there are people who out of nowhere are like, oh yeah, I love Chunington, I'm rooting for him, right? When I imagine that's not something you were used to a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even like consider myself like top echelon or whatever, or like towards the top. I mean, I just like playing my game and like just like not thinking about like rankings or whatever. Just know that like I can play the game to my best ability, and if I do so, like the results will come out, and like it is rewarding to know that like I like the views on me are like going up. It's always nice to know like it feels like my efforts are like showing. So
Yeah.
that part does feel nice, but I don't like consider myself like anything crazy or put myself at like a high caliber. I just try to play my own game and like hopefully the results will show.
I saw that you also competed in the sub-regional this set. I think you top 8'd, right? I think you went 4th or 5th.
Oh, there's a yeah, I went 4th, but one of the games I was guaranteed a best of 3 with max build, and then I DC'd on 6-1, and then I went 4th. So I think technically I was actually supposed to win out that tournament, but it's fine.
I mean, I bring that up because I think it actually says a lot about how you see yourself in the scene. I think that most players in the TPC are not competing in sub-regionals or tier 2, tier 3 local events. It's something that I think is relatively rare because, you know, they spend a lot of time scrimming. And I think it's really cool to see a player in the TPC who is just clearly hungry and really wants to prove himself. So, you know, I just want to give props to you for continuing to, you know, show up to all these different events and try to make the most out of this time you have in the sun. So, yeah, it's a shame you DC'd. It would have been cool to see you win the sub-regional into a top 2 at TPC.
Yeah, I mean, I just like participating in these tournaments, like playing the games. Like, I mean, I also wanted to like it's also good to like put myself in like high pressure environments. Like, I mean, it's not like the highest of pressure, but like I like want to like keep like practicing and getting better. So
Congrats on qualifying for tier 2. That's huge.
yeah,
Yeah, dude. That's dope. That's dope. We'll talk a little bit more about this perception, especially around the other players, a little bit later when we look at our rankings. I want to ask both of you some questions about that. But let's talk about this tournament real quick. Just a real quick thing, because, you know, this is kind of expected of, hey, lesser big names equals more opportunity for some people to prove themselves. And so I want to talk about two different things. One, we have one EMEA player in the final lobby, but that doesn't tell the whole story because 9 through 11 are also EMEA players, the ones that just missed it. So yes, it looks really lopsided when you look at the final day, but it was closer than, you know, you would give credit. So as much as we want to clown on them, it wasn't that big of a difference. But I want to talk about a specific few people that had pretty good performances, maybe better than what was expected after TPC 1. David Ace, specifically in that top 12, finished with an 8-8, which is exactly what was Darth and Chunington were describing, of like, hey, he was going to make it out, missed the cut, and then it all just went downhill. And so I was excited to see him at the top of the leaderboard for a lot of this tournament. Sad to see him go with that result, but again, a solid result for him. And then actually the two below that, Kyun making a good comeback here, putting a good solid performance from our favorite GM, and Crazy Cat, the unknown player that didn't know he was in TPC, having another top half performance here. So just showing that some of these players have some fight in them, whether or not people look at them with the utmost respect.
Yeah, I mean, Crazy Cat had some like pretty impressive games from what I saw on Frodan's co-stream. So that was pretty cool to see.
yeah. I mean, he was in quite a few of my lobbies, and I agree. I think his play was quite impressive. He was always on like a weird line, but he was like making it work out. And it's pretty interesting.
He's cooking. He's just an awesome story, and so I love keeping up to date on what Crazy Cat's doing. But let's take a look at this final lobby. It was a very interesting final lobby because again, 7 Americas players and 1 EMEA. So it was Voman Death trying to steal the slot back after Darth stole theirs. Obviously, wasn't able to get it done here. but we have a lot of familiar faces. Ladder Slayer was probably the newest face to this stage alongside Chunington. Me First Wraith did make it the last TPC to the final lobby as well, alongside. Wait, wasn't Basso there as well and Wajan?
Basso
no?
went 9th, I think, and
Ninth.
Region was
That was
there.
right. Yeah. And so a lot of similar characters up the top, which I think is very interesting in this set, where we're seeing a lot of the skills show through in this set, and a lot of consistent performances from people. But let's talk about this final lobby. And Chunington, you were one of the only other players that was making this close, because you were in check in game 5. And so what was it like heading into game 5 where you were in check?
I mean, I just came off a game that, like, I mean, in my 4th game, I was playing Ixtal reroll, and I had a quest on stage 3. It was get 3 takedowns on Kiana, and like I couldn't complete the quest for like 5 turns, so I was like, in my mind that game, like I was like guaranteed bot 4, but I managed to like pull things around and top 2 the game and put myself into check. So I was happy that I got into check after that game, and I was like trying to focus for the next game, and that was a good feeling. But going into this next game, I just tried to play like a solid line and like try to cap out my board, but we just seemed to have a really insane spot that game.
Crazy to see Chunington scores, by the way, because on any other day in tournament, these are like very respectable scores that you would see that scoreline and think like, oh man, there's no way that they're that far behind first, right? Like they're right there. And then in this tournament, I mean, it's like this is the closest we've ever had to Robin's set 5 regionals run, right? Of anyone being able to do anything similar. And the only reason that Wajan didn't quite get to do it as similarly is because he ended the tournament one game earlier. But it was a pretty wild. It's just wild to see how Wajan actually did just go 1-7-1-1-1 to end the tournament, and it is in a way I guess good for Chunington because you got to lock in your second place. No one else even had a chance to catch you, but it's just wild for me to see such a respectable scoreline still be 7 full points behind first.
Chunington, what was your experience in this lobby where obviously Wajan was putting on some serious pressure, but you were also in check? Did you feel like, and I know you have some checkmate experience from being in TPC, but what was it like being in check, one of the 2 people? Did you feel like the lobby was targeting you? Did you feel like there's pressure, like I have to win this game? Or you were just like, I want to play for what I got. Like if I don't have a win out spot, it's fine. This game probably won't end. The tournament probably won't end in 5 if it's just us.
So like my game plan was like for like early check was like where there's only like a couple of players in check was like try to play like into Ionia or Demacia and like try to cap out my board on 9 or because like I'm not realistically like in shallow check, like no one's ever gonna hit a 3-star forecast with all eyes on you. So I was like trying to play like a high cap Demacia game that game, and I was cluttered mind, and I was holding 4 Luxes, and I think Dish over like insta pinged it. So and the people were already holding my units. So
I mean, it has to be nerve wracking to be in that position, and as soon as you get a 4th copy, people are pinging you because they're just locked in. And I think it's a good plan to try to play around something like that. But I want to talk something specifically because Darth, you had a very similar win out condition to what Wajan had in this game, and of playing around Ixtal. What is so strong about Ixtal this set that makes it kind of a win condition you can't stop?
In contrast to like other similar traits, like Ishtal isn't a trait where you just have to lose, because if you had to lose, then you would just get griefed. You just have to complete your quest. You just have to survive, and then eventually you'll make it to Brock. You'll make it to your big cash out, and you'll make it to your strongest board. So oftentimes, it's just really hard to grief. which makes it a very good win condition.
Yeah. And I've watched a lot of Wage in this set. I help him on his YouTube, so I get the privilege of watching a ton of it. And this guy on install is just insane. I don't know how he does it, because every time I take install Expeditionist, I go 8th. So, and when he does it, he goes first every time. I don't get it. I think I'm just bad at clicking these quests. So I gotta lock in. But I learned a lot.
Yeah, I feel like when I was like thinking about like how am I gonna win in check, like most of the answers just feel bad. Like you're not gonna hit your 3-star forecast. It's like you're like going fast 9 doesn't really exist anymore. So one of the only like answers that feels good is Ishtal.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, in my opinion, like I was like trying to map out like the good like checks, like win cons, and like in my mind it was like you can only do like unlockable forecasts that no one else can grief, or like a super big H-stall cash out.
Yeah, like you're praying for your insane Shadow Owl star.
Yeah.
I mean, we did, obviously this is not like this is kind of an example of the opposite, where it's an unlockable that is relatively easy to unlock. But something I noticed in I think it was in the EMEA Cup, I believe it was Travis, that somebody in one of the games was angling for potential 3-star forecast, 3-star Kaisa, and Travis like instantly unlocked Kaisa to make sure that he could grief at least one, right?
Yeah, I probably should not have hit 3-star forecast, 3-star Kaisa. Like I probably should not have been going for that game plan, because I learned after that game that you should just grief the guy going for 3-star Kaisa, and it's very easy to do that.
I also wanted to draw a little bit of attention, unless you want to keep, we can stay on Chunington, but at some point while we're on here, I really quickly would like to talk about Bosso skills. Jack, I don't know if it's okay if we do that now.
Do it.
So Bosso skills has been around the block for a while, right? Set 7-ish is my guess. And as far as I know, in my stats, I don't believe that Bosso has ever been able to post a sub 4.0 AVP throughout an entire season of TFT. And obviously we're in the middle of the season, so it's this doesn't actually count. But what I will say is that Bosso is an opinionated person who has always been highly, highly respected by top TFT players, even when his individual results didn't reflect the amount of respect that I think he was given. Like, people have always known that he's a brilliant player. He knows a lot about the game. He is super good at the game. And maybe variance hasn't been on his side. Maybe he just quite hasn't been able to get over the hump in tournament play. Regardless, this set is the first time that he's ever maintaining a sub 4.0 AVP. He's doing it over 2 tournaments, which is, again, only halfway done. We still have plenty more TFT to see. But I think it is worth looking at sets 15 and 16 as the true breakout for Bosso skills. Obviously, everybody's known who he was, like coming up set 8, that entire study group, like the Wage and Iverson, anyone associated with them was kind of given that breakout tag then. I feel like the last 2 sets have been the most impressive Bosso skills has ever been, and it feels like his results are finally catching up to his reputation. So I just wanted to give a nod to Bosso to say, I'm really, really happy to see you killing it this set, and I hope that it continues, because I would love to see you on the international stage.
You're just saying this because he beat you so bad in your own tournament. And you're trying to be like, I lost to this guy and he's like the best in the world kind of thing.
When Pocky and Bosso make final lobby, suddenly me scoring 12 points over 5 games doesn't sound that bad.
This podcast is just a way for him to hype himself up because he loses the good players. I respect it, honestly. It's good. It's a good play, the long con. Well, it was a great weekend of TFT, and I appreciate you guys both for putting on a show. But we have so much to continue to talk about as we zoom out a little bit more on this set. We had our winners from across the globe, Wajan and Darth Nub. two America's players stealing a slot from EMEA, but also on the other side of the globe, we had two Chinese players taking wins, stealing an Apex spot as well. Li Tuchuan is a legend and somebody that we look at as somebody who's on a very, very, very good run in TFT. And Ringo is actually somebody that's been around for a while. This is a name change. I won't try to pronounce their other name because I will butcher it, but a good win for them as well, and probably one of their signature wins. And so excited to see all of these players on the Tactician's Crown stage.
Before we move on from this, we should acknowledge Li Chuchuan not making it to TAC Crown last set is insane. I don't know the details of how the CN format worked, but Li Chuchuan's scores last set in the three events that he played in of like TPC, he went 1st, 5th, and 10th. And then in the actual playoffs, he went 2nd. But their playoff event, only the winner made TAC Crown, and the rest would qualify into another regional finals where he went like 14th or something. So after going 1st, 5th, 10th, 2nd, he didn't make it to TAC Crown because he went 14th at the final event. So this is just redemption. I think it's cool that he is going to be back on the international stage. I think it's his 3rd TAC Crown.
Sounds
this
right.
guy's a beast.
Yeah. It's gonna be a good one. The roster shaping up is already looking absolutely electric. But let's review pro points real quick, because this is also a very interesting talking point coming out of the weekend, specifically with Chunington being in a really good spot as far as pro points go. But there is one problem. Wajan Iverson exists, and if he stays as number 1 pro points earner, the spot just goes to regionals instead. It doesn't stay and move down to the next person. The TPC just loses it. And Wajan would have qualified a 3rd way for the Tactician's Crown.
Did we acknowledge actually in the last segment that because he won, that was another slot that gets added to regionals, right? So what is the total count for regionals at the moment?
It's
anyone know
5
off the top of your
now.
head?
Wait, we have the thing. Oh wait, do I have the thing in this show? I'll grab the thing.
I think it's 6 because of the added slot, plus Wajan and Darth.
I think it's 9 because it's 3 cup winners. So it was 5. Now it's 6. But it could be 7 if he remains the top pro winner. And if he wins the last tournament too, it could be 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it is. I confirmed. It is 9. It is 9 total.
But it's more now because Darth stole a spot.
Oh, it's 10 now. Oh, that's right. So we all have 10.
Look at you.
And Wajan Iverson could be 4 of them.
I mean, it's just insane, right? I was listening to the winners interview that he was doing on Frodan's stream, and he's like, he's like, yeah, obviously I'm happy, but I feel bad for Basso. He's like, I wanted Basso to win, and I'm like, yeah, that's his boy. But like, this guy's got to save something for the rest of the people, right? Like Chunington needs this spot, man. He's played so well, and he's got to get this top spot, I guess, right?
What is the minimum placement? He would have to make final day, right, to lock it in. It's only 4 points up over Michael. That's not actually that much, because you can get additional pro points for how you place on day 3 anyway.
Yeah.
So okay. I was gonna say, like, is there any world where him making day 2 locks up pro points? But it really would only be that way if Michael, Chunington, Pocky, and Quinta are all like bombing out on day 1.
Chunington, how are you feeling about this race and your chance in it?
I mean, I was recently notified that Wajan counts for the pro total point thing, so that kind of made me a little nervous because he's probably going to have a good showing in the last cup. So I mean, that just means I have to perform even better.
Nah, he can't keep high rolling.
The thing
mean,
to know
Yeah, it's insane.
about this cup is for the final day, everyone gets the same amount of pro points for placing 1 through 8. So
Oh, in Demacia Cup
Oh,
specifically?
there's
yes.
no bonus pro points for day 3.
No, okay. Everyone gets 4 bonus points for making final lobby, but it doesn't. It's not variable based off placement due to the pro point total qualification.
Is it just like stopping some like O-Cage business situations? Is that like
It's
like a
like
prevention?
stopping some situations where like someone intentionally does worse in like the final lobby in order, or like someone starts griefing someone in the final lobby to get like more points than someone else.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a heads up play.
Good stuff by them. Obviously, Darth, you are basically out of the running of that, but it doesn't matter anymore because you already made it Tactician's crown. Do you guys like the top spot of this being a thing?
I like it. I think it's great. I think like Soju should have like it makes sense that Soju should have qualified the Tactician's crown in set 15 for like dominating the cups. So I'm glad to see this change this time.
Yeah, I'm also glad to see this change. I think the person who performs the best in every cup, or like on average, should be rewarded for their consistent performance.
One of the interesting things about these pro points is it gives a little bit of perspective around how people get viewed, and it really does show how well they're doing this set. Like the people at the bottom that don't have a lot of pro points, they're just not doing too hot. The people that are at the top are obviously doing well, and I think this has influenced a lot of what has happened, specifically within the rankings that we do here on the show, the Rolldown Rankings presented by Citadel. And I want to pick your guys' brain because obviously the way we do this is with some panelists, but mostly it's made up of the players in the TPC. So both you guys get to vote on this, and I'm sure that some of it is based off these pro points and the way it's viewed. But looking at this, I want to ask you guys about your, and there's only been 2 of these, but about your journeys a little bit on how this has went for both of you. Because for Chunington specifically, you started down at 23rd in this list, which is, people are like, yeah, this guy's an underdog, but already moved up to 17th in this list. Do you think you're starting to get some of the respect that you've earned over the past couple sets?
I mean, yeah, I guess, I'm putting up results, so like naturally people will just look at the numbers and rank me higher. But I mean, I don't necessarily see myself like worse or better than some of the players on this list. But it is good to see that I'm getting recognition.
You actually went up a whole point as far as star ranking goes on this one, which I think is really significant across the board. And so excited to see that, and I'm excited to see where it ends up next time. Right, like a good final lobby second place performance. Being 3rd in pro points, pretty good spot to be. So excited to see where people start to put you.
I kind of wanted to dig into something you just said, Chunington. You're saying you don't necessarily see yourself better or worse than some of the players on this list. When you say that, do you mean like you try not to think about how good you are compared to the field, or do you genuinely believe that this is like everyone's basically the same skill level in the TPC, and it doesn't really matter where I fall within that small margin?
I mean, I do think like Wasian and Dishhope and like other top players, like obviously like they're like a higher tier, but I don't like count out any players, and like I don't necessarily like just because I was like ranked like 23rd on the list, like I don't think like my performance is gonna like be like completely terrible like in comparison to like anyone else on the list. So I try to not to think about like what everyone views like my like standing on like a tier list, but rather just try to perform and try to play my game as well as possible.
Yeah, makes sense.
You don't do the whole bulletin board material idea?
What do you mean by that?
like letting the doubters, the haters motivate you, and like they're like this is a sports thing is like they'll like put like this negative press up on the wall to motivate the athletes and stuff.
Oh, not really. I mean, I just try to keep improving. That's my goal.
I feel kind of similarly. Like with every patch, you're basically starting from zero, and you just have to do your best to like learn the patch and be as good as you can be. So like while I like looking at the rankings, like I don't care what rank I'm actually at, right?
I find that the end of season rankings are always the most fun. I think a lot of people would say the mid-season rankings are actually the most fun, but I really love the end of season rankings because they tend to be more descriptive, not prescriptive, where these are like, we're trying to make predictions of who we think are going to do well, which obviously, like, you know, who actually knows? Like we can make our best guesses, but anything can happen, and everyone here is good. But the end of season rankings are always so fun to me because that is where everyone does put a lot of effort into just figuring out how would we best describe the best player from any individual set. And to me, it's like you get to nerd out a little bit with like how you know, what criteria you use to determine who is what performance looks like in a set and things like that. But, you know, it is definitely fun to look at the rankings. I'm with you on that.
Do we think Wajan Iverson will have a 10.0 rating?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah? You think everyone will rate him 10?
There's like 40 panelists. There's no way. Necra's putting him at 9 just to be different. I'm telling you right now. Yeah, Dish Soap is definitely Dish Soap. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I think it could be the closest we see to 10, maybe ever. I don't know. It's hard not to say that of like, no, like this guy's clearly crushing this set. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. You know what's wild though, when you I mean, you have to put in perspective that this is within TPC, so it is different. But Wajan right now is averaging about like a 3.5. It's like actually I have it up. It is 3.53 this current set. When you think about Setsuko in sets 8 and 9, Setsuko maintained a better average placement across 2 full sets than Wajan is averaging after winning 2 tournaments. Isn't that insane? Setsuko maintained a sub 3.5 AVP over the course of sets 8 and 9. Just to put into perspective on how dominant Setsuko was during this stretch of time, it's unbelievable. And I think that's like Setsuko has obviously been a little bit less visible on people's radar. People have been talking about Dish Soap and Wajan for so much the last few sets. I find it important to put it into perspective why we have Setsuko as this big 3 alongside Wajan and Dish Soap, right? Even if he doesn't have the same accolades internationally, Wajan with 2 top 3s and Dish Soap with 2 wins at Tac Crown, like you just cannot discount how dominant peak Setsuko actually is.
I mean, insane resume. When this guy's at his best, he is the best. But the problem is he hasn't been at the best for, I mean, it's hard to say, right? We haven't seen him on the Tactician's Crown stage in a while. So I'd be curious to see what happens, especially this next patch where level 9 is, because that's more of his play style.
I still believe in Setsuko. Like, I always still learn a lot from his stream. Like, he's still the king of ladder. He still just is so good at what he's good at, you know, which is winning the game.
Yep.
So, you know, I believe that he'll show up.
I have a question for you, Jack, which is next time that we do this podcast, we will reveal the next set of rankings going into the 3rd TPC. Which players on this list do you expect to have the largest leap or the largest jump in the rankings?
As far as number or slots in this ladder?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Probably number, because I think slot is a lot harder to move. Some players are, yeah.
Okay, I think there's there's 3 players that well, no, there's, I think it's, I think you look towards the bottom because there's most of the room for growth. And I think of the two players down there that made the final lobby or one that made the final lobby, Ladder Slayer, and David Ace, who had a good performance. So I would say Ladder Slayer probably, because being sub 4 means that people are ranking them pretty low. But obviously, if you make a final lobby, you're going to get a lot more respect. So I would say that's probably the biggest number growth, and probably biggest position growth would be my thought. They'll probably end up in the 5s, maybe even 6s.
Okay. We'll
That'd
see.
be my thought. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah. Nah, I think I'm pretty much with you. I'm thinking either David. I was thinking maybe CMB as well. Like he was kind of took a hit after the first cup, then made top 8. I could see him going back up, but I didn't realize Ladder Slayer is in the 3s. So I'm just gonna piggyback. I think Ladder Slayer and David are 2 very, very good picks there.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I also, to be honest, and this is maybe where it's like, it's not about the number, but surely Pocky and Quintanilla are moving up. Chunington as well are going to move up. Their number isn't going to go up as much.
Yeah.
But I would be shocked if all 3 of those players are not like top 12, top 13 going into the next tournament.
Yeah. The one player leaving out of that, me for Straith, another final lobby appearance. So I imagine they'll keep moving up the list as well. So
one other thing, Crazy Cat, like I don't think he's not going to be like at the bottom anymore.
I mean, you see, it's really close here.
I think Milk might be replacing him there.
Have you guys watched?
Does anyone know when
streams?
When is Milk coming back? Is he going to be in America for the 3rd cup? Does anyone know?
Dude, I have no clue.
Dude, this is the greatest bait of all time is him tweeting, when I get home, I'm playing Infinite TFT, and then he doesn't come home for months.
He'll lock in for regionals.
He will.
Yeah, that's true. He'll make it
just like last set.
Dude, I watched some of these Brosif coaching streams with him, and they're hilarious. He's like, "Oh, it's the first time I've played List Seraphine, like the day before this tournament." I'm like, "Dude, come on now. What are we what are we doing?" Anyway, all right. Well, thank you for giving thoughts on these rankings. I think they're really fun to just look back at the journey specifically, and I know we'll talk more about that as we develop throughout the set. But this is Gangly's favorite part of the show. I know it is because this guy's a nerd, and so the MetaTFT Stats Corner. We have so many different things to talk about today, but we first want to give a shout out to MetaTFT for sponsoring this section of the show. There are my go-to stat website. I currently have it up, even though I'm not playing TFT, on my other tab because I love looking at stats and seeing what's good and what's not, and all these different things. And specifically, their overlay, being able to give me some quick thoughts about augments and things in games. So if you want to support the show, you can support us by supporting MetaTFT and downloading their overlay.
All right, it's go time.
Let's do it.
Let's dive into the stats corner. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you might have seen some of these graphics already. I've been posting a little bit about just some random TFT stats that seemed relevant to the winners of each individual cup from the last weekend. So let's start with the first one, Jack, which I posted about. Oh no, sorry, I didn't realize I forgot this is the first.
What's the first one? Which one do you want first?
No. We should do this first. I was going to do the Darth one first, but let's start here while we're on the topic of the cups, and we'll just talk about the performances of each region. Right, EMEA versus Americas. We talked earlier about how last set EMEA America was basically split 4.5 AVP to 4.5 AVP. This time around, 4.68 AVP from EMEA to 4.35 from the Americas. You might ask, why do those numbers not average to 4.5? And that's because there were more players from the Americas in the finals. So this is actually including the finals AVP, which would brings down the Americas AVP because naturally we have to have players scoring below 4.5. And so this is, I would say a pretty dominant performance from the Americas overall. We could see Darth's smiling face and Kubixen's evil glare, as they shut the door behind them. But I mean, I feel like we dove pretty far into this, Jack, before. I don't know if you have any additional thoughts that you want to bring.
No, I find the difference between this set and last set being interesting. It was so incredibly close last set, and this one was not nearly as close. So clearly America's is just better than EMEA. Clearly. See? Chunington agrees,
you said it.
Yep.
Let the EMEA folks clip Jack. We can stay out of this.
Bulletin board material. They definitely use it. I can tell you that. Well, one of the other things that Nick, you posted about, and it's kind of we were talking about before the show, a little bit of how Darth's story has been, and you see on the bottom set 5 being where Darth started, kind of an antithesis to what Chunington and your journey has been, being only over the last few sets. Gangly, walk us through these stats and what your storyline was behind these.
Yeah, so I charted out Darth Nub's AVP in tournament from every set, from set 5 to set 16. Granted, I don't have the game count on here. Some of these sets are very low sample size compared to others. Set 5, I know in particular, I think it actually is only 1 or 2 events. But generally speaking, there is this pretty interesting thing that's visualized where it's set 5 to set 12. There are no sets where Darth was able to sport or maintain a sub 4.5 AVP. I mean, technically 4.49 in set 6, but for the sake of what we're talking about, never really able to break out of that sort of middle of the pack. And then something happened in set 12. And you could argue that it is the merging of the regions, that Brazil and Latin America come in, the opens become easier, and maybe Darth's skill level doesn't actually change, but his results improve. And all of a sudden he starts sporting 4.3, 3.98, has a bit of a whatever set in 14, but then 4.3 and then 4.03 in set 15, and then right now roughly 4.1. I would argue that this is not a change of the merging of the regions. Primary evidence is that over sets 15 and 16, Darth Nub has maintained that same improvement that we saw happen in set 12 while he's competing in TPC, right? This is not something where Darth is just noob stomping and farming a better AVP. To me, this feels like something happened in the back half of Darth's career. And so while we have Darth on the show here, there is no better way to find out the information. I don't have to speculate. I kind of want to ask you, Darth. 1, do you feel like the numbers you're seeing in this graph accurately represent the way that you have seen yourself in TFT? And then 2, what do you attribute the improvement that we've seen in your tournament performances from the last few sets?
So to answer the first question, yeah, I mean, I think for the longest time, I considered myself to be a player like definitely below the top tier of like consistent players. Like there will be some patches where I felt like I could compete with the best, and then there would be some patches or some sets where I just wasn't very good. So like in set 6 and 9, there were definitely patches like that where I definitely had pop-off tournaments. And then I would also have some really bad tournaments. After that, as to what attributed the improvement in performance, let's see. Yeah, I mean, part of it was like I became undeployed, so I like focused a lot more on TFT and just like really doing everything I could to improve at TFT. Part of that does come from like my damage simulator, which is public, and like around set 12 was when I really started working on making the like UI to actually make a damage simulator that helps me answer questions about like what items and augments and buffs do for champion. So I felt like I definitely got a much more complete understanding of how the game works around that time.
I would like to know about, I guess, performance, like tournament performance itself. How much of the improvement that you've seen over the last few sets would you say is due to becoming more comfortable in tournament versus you improving compared to the way you played in your earlier days of your career?
Yeah, I think a decent amount of it is due to more mental resilience. I feel like nowadays I don't get like very tilted if I have a bad start to a tournament. And I also don't like choke quite as much. There's definitely a few tournaments in like set 11, I think, where I thought I was really good going to the tournament, and then I would just completely choke a game, and that just takes a big hit to my mental. But I think nowadays, like, I feel like I don't really have much of an ego. Like, I really try not to have any sort of ego or expectation going into the tournament, and I just try to do my best in every game.
I don't know if you have any questions for Darth Nub, Jack. Something kind of a parting thought from me on this when I was making this graph was, I think it's very, very easy in a game, in any game or any skill that anyone has, to feel like your plateaus just take a hold of you. And when I was mapping all of this out, what really stood out to me is just this story of believing that the ceiling that you see right now is not your true ceiling. That believing that you can always get a little bit better, right? Improvement can be gradual, and some people do burst out on the scene and become superstars overnight. And for some people, it takes years, and then eventually you get your moment in the sun. And I just love that Darth's story has been one of utter transformation. There was a period of time where I was a bit vocal about believing that Darth was perhaps a bit overrated. And I think a part of that was that a lot of people didn't see the stats of like average AVPs, and people knew that Darth is a brilliant player who does these damage sims, is in an amazing study group where he's contributing so much to the success of other people who are finding success, and he just didn't get it yet. And so to see it years later finally come to fruition and Darth get his first tournament win, make it back to the international stage, I just think that this is a story that a lot of people should be bringing home with them to say, like, hey, this can apply to me. Like, maybe I'm not going to make it to TAC Crown, but maybe you can actually get that LP cap that you've thought is actually your true ceiling, and just be encouraged that the ceiling you see in front of you is not made of stone, right? It can always be broken.
Or you can be Chunington, start competing in Magic and Mayhem and go on a TAC Cup, and then be in 2 straight TPCs and be third in pro points. You could just do that really quickly too. There's 2 paths for sure.
Yeah, what's the secret, Chunington? How do we beat
How did you do it?
A lot of time spent on the game.
I mean,
right,
it seems like it seems like that's common though, right? Like, and Darth, you noted this about, it was like, hey, once I had more time, I got better. And I think that's probably true for a lot of different things in general, right? You put more time into something, you'll get better at it. But specifically in TFT, we see a lot of those that are having high success not be working necessarily at full time. But it's very interesting to see the balance of people who are working and aren't working, because it's always one of the first questions I ask people whenever I'm trying to do an interview or a piece about them, because I'm curious. Like, for example, for JD, he's a teacher and he spends a lot of his time doing that. And so what does it look like for him to prep differently than it does for somebody who is, doing TFT stuff full time? It's always an interesting dynamic. But speaking of somebody who went into this full time recently, and it's clearly paying off, the last section of our stats corner presented by MetaTFT, Nick, you posted this on Twitter and you had a very unique stat about it. Why don't you go ahead and tell the people?
Yeah. So, and again, I'm just going to say, we didn't say this before, but any podcast listeners, you guys should just check out the YouTube video for these. I think these graphics make it a lot easier to understand what it is we're talking about. But in the history of North American TFT, only 3 players have ever maintained a sub 4.0 AVP for 3 consecutive sets. Wajan Iverson has done it twice, 3.9, 3.8, and 3.53 for set 9. And then he's doing it again. He's actually doing it for 4 consecutive sets right now, between 13 and 16, 3.75, 3.65, 3.97. They almost got us last set, but he held on, and then 3.53. And this is just, I mean, does nothing but show the consistent edge that Wajan Iverson has on the field. Like that's the main thing, right? It's Darth said it earlier on the show that a new patch hits and you're starting from zero, right? And obviously you're not truly starting from zero. You have a lot of information and knowledge that that you're starting with, but in TFT, the game changes constantly. And when we had Wajan Iverson on the last episode, we kind of asked him that, like, hey, don't you get tired of this? And he was saying, no, like, I live for this. This is the challenge of knowing you always have something new to learn. And these stats, I think, are a great visualization of that. I want to know, though, to the three of you, can you guys name the two other players who have maintained a sub 4.0 AVP for 3 consecutive sets? I'll tell you right now, it's not Dishop and Setsuko. It could be one of them, but it's not both of them.
Because you were saying that Setsuko did it for set 8 and 9, but then I don't know if you would do it for. I don't know if you would maintain it for set 7 or 10. Okay.
Is it not Camberley for the last 3 sets?
Could be.
Not including this set?
Use your guess, Jack?
Damn, I'm worried you're gonna pull something crazy like mismatch socks.
I'm pretty sure Dish Soap has done it too. I'm pretty sure Dish Soap's the other
I'll
one.
definitely guess Dish Soap over Setsuko.
Yeah, I'll let you guys lock that one in. It is Dish Soap, and it is not Setsuko. You are correct. Setsuko narrowly missed it. I think it's one of the sets at the end. I forget if it's set 7 or set 10. He had like a 4.05 AVP after putting up a 3.45 and a 3.43 over sets 8 and 9. The other one, Robin, I actually don't think anyone will guess this. It's like it's like reasonable, but I just don't expect anyone to guess it. So I'll give you each one guess. Yeah, you're thinking Robin, Darth, Jack, Chunington. What do you guys think?
I mean, my best guess was Cam, but I need to look at the list of players again.
Is it somebody that's currently in TPC?
They are in TPC.
Is it Mike Hell from like 6? Yeah, maybe early Mike Hell.
Okay. Well, it has to be a North American player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would be kind of cheating, I think.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
American.
They're currently in TPC.
They're yeah. I want the last guess. So we have our guesses are Robin, Camberley, and we get one more.
It's not Milk.
It's not Milk.
No, it's not Milk. It's not Milk. I have no idea. You
gotta lock someone in, Jack. You can't live on the fence. You gotta pick a side.
Fine. It's Marcel or something. I don't know. It's not Marcel. That doesn't make any sense.
You ready?
I have no clue.
The answer is Spencer.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yep. So Camberley was very close, but he barely missed it. He had like a 4.0 something in one of the sets that breaks up the streak. Spencer surprisingly actually did it in the later, like the resurgence Spencer, not in the early days. Because when I assumed that if it was going to be Spencer, it would be like, sets like 4, 5, 6 or something. But it's not. It's actually Spencer in sets 11, 12, and 13, where he put up 3.96, 3.91, 3.78 over the course of those 3 sets. So, yeah. Spencer went to Worlds in set 12, right? Yeah. I think it was it was a set he and Milk tied for like 10th or something, or 9th. They both barely missed.
Yeah.
Wait, Into the Arcane
and Magic and Mayhem, both of them.
Wait, he was at Worlds for set 13? I don't remember that. Okay. Nice.
Anyway.
Anyway, fun fact for you all. Enjoy.
Gangly facts. We love them. That was literally what spawned this whole thing.
We'll see. I think I like never make this sort of stuff, but I've just been going down the rabbit hole, and it's like a fun way to also do some exercises of like making designs and stuff, which I don't do enough anymore. So yeah, maybe I'll start doing this like once a week, throwing some fun stats up on my Twitter, and then we'll talk about it on the roll down. So yeah, you know, we'll see. We'll see.
It's a good time. Well, let's start to wrap up the show by talking about our fantasy draft and giving an update, because we did this at the beginning of the set. It was me versus Gangly versus Chat. And going into this cup, I was feeling real good because I had the an advantage with the amount of players that were in the America's Cup. And let me tell you, when just look at it. I don't know what to tell you, man. How did I get the least amount of points added this week? I don't get it.
That's embarrassing, man, because I got Milk on my team and I got more points than you. I got we got 1 point between 2 tournaments. Please, Milk. 1 point.
This Chunington guy is actually carrying me, though, so shout out. I was like, I have to have this guy on. I have to tell him how much he means to me.
Dude, my top end is not performing as well as I had hoped. Cam, Setsuko, Ripple. But thank God I got Darth Nub and Bosso holding it down for me. And Pocky.
Pocky,
like Pocky going in the 7th. Wait, what is this? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th round Pocky is insane. Best draft of all time. I mean, it's very quickly turning, instead of like you versus me versus Chat, into like, please God, let Jack or I win this so we don't just get absolutely cleared by Chat. The next set, I think it's you and me versus Chat.
It's got to be. I don't know. Because, like...
Even Milk's going to lock in.
Yeah. Wait, do we get regionals as well? Or no? Does it...
no, because we don't score
people pro points. Oh, man. It is so doomed.
It's so doomed.
There's no way Milk is locking in for third. He'll lock in for just regionals. It's over for me. Wait, were either of you here for the draft, by the way? I don't think you were, right?
No.
None of this is your handiwork?
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Chat got us. Chat definitely got us. I mean, honestly, in retrospect, how did we both skip Mike L? I really wanted Ripple, but we both had like our pocket picks that we wanted in the 3rd round, and then we just let Chat get Michael Spencer on their double round.
I know, man. Next set, I was telling Gangly this. We should do me versus Gangly versus Chat GPT, and have Chat GPT pick a team too. I think that'd be hilarious. And then it'll be even, so everyone will get drafted. Anyway, yeah. We'll see if we can make a comeback. I'm very doubtful at this point, but anyway, to wrap up the show, we have our "You Are Here" graphic as always, showing where we are in the competitive roadmap for this set. And it's crazy how we're just staring down the TFT postseason already. We said this in the last show too, as we moved to the second line, but like regionals is not too far away. There's one more TPC event. There's one more Tactician's Cup happening this weekend. Really before we get into regional finals, which is 2 weekends, and the Tactician's Crown after that. So it is a sprint to the finish. And I'm just excited to see where this wraps up and how the balance and specifically this set leads to hopefully one of the greatest championships of all time, where America is going to get the crown again. Darth, are you going to win?
Yeah, I'll do my best. Yeah.
Chunington, are you going to win? Because you're going to be there.
Yeah, I'll be making it there.
What is this
I'll
like?
be taking it.
Yeah.
High school football coach hyping up the team. He's got him in the huddle.
He's on my fantasy team, man. He's going to make it. I know it.
Darth, are you hoping, because they haven't announced if Worlds is in person or if it's remote, right? They haven't actually said if everyone's going to all.
Or I would hope we're going to Spain again. Like, I think it's a lot more fun to travel to compete in person instead of just going 8th at like 5 a.m.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So yeah, I'm really excited to travel to Spain. So I hope
nice.
that happens.
100%. Yeah, it'll be sweet. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on the show. It's fun to get new characters on our show and also help people understand a little bit more of your guys' story and celebrate your guys' success. So just thankful for you guys being willing to come on. Darth, before we head off, any shout outs to the people out there?
Yeah, I mean, shout outs to the people in my study group. So that's going to be Ripple, Bosso, Lasian. There's too many people. Like Philip, like Malala, Mini, Showtime, etc. Yeah.
Chunington, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the people in my study group as well. There's a lot of people, so I mean, I'll just list like Michael, Broseph, Angie, yeah, and a lot of others that I can't go down the list. So,
Gangly, anything before we wrap up?
No. I'm excited that we're like in this real, we're like really in the thick of it. And so I had a lot of fun watching the not home story cups, the home cups. And yeah, just excited to see how the rest of the season finishes up. How about you, Jack?
Well, hold on. Do either of you guys play Riftbound?
No.
Me?
No,
Yeah, I
I do
play.
not.
Neither of you guys play? Okay, fine.
no.
Me,
You guys would love it. If you guys ever want to take a little break from TFT sometime and learn to play some Riftbound, just hit Jack or I up. We're down. We're down to show you the ropes.
the shelf behind
I
me.
played it once
It's full of it.
at Paris, like with Wei Jin
Yeah.
and some of the others. That was pretty fun.
I might have gone dead last in the Tri-State Invitational, but I did beat Bosso Skills 8-0 in Riftbound in our sealed event, and then beat Philip in the finals. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, Bosso showed up late, was given like 5 minutes to build a sealed deck and had no idea what was going on, and then he just could not push to any battlefield the entire game, and he's just sitting there passing every turn. It was best of one, so. Yeah, I got him there. It's okay. He got me back in TFT.
He sure did. My sign off was going to be, I'm really excited for some pre-Rift events this weekend. So,
I'm going on Friday. When are you going?
I have one on Friday and one on Saturday.
Ooh, nice.
So,
It's fun.
I'm double dipping. Anyway, it'll be a great time. Excited to play the next set of Spirit Forged. So shout out to Riftbound and all the crossover that has. It's really fun. So without further ado, that's it for the roll down in this episode. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, follow, share, like, comment on the show. However you do that is a great way to support us. Support our sponsors too, MetaTFT. The links will be in the description down below. So without further ado, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.